Hi, and welcome to another SEO Hangout with Josh Bachynski. That would be myself. I'm back from vacation from Vegas, from the conference I was at, and a lot of stuff has happened in the SEO world while I was away, and just when I was getting back. And I have my eye and my finger on the pulse of it all. So, I don't really get vacations. I go on vacation, but it's not really a vacation. So, yeah, a lot of really interesting stuff actually has happened. The SEO world just seems to get more and more interesting, and Google has been at it again, leaking some interesting stuff to those people who know where to look and listen. So I'm going to get right to what's been going on. Some very interesting stuff in this Hangout. Okay, so just again, there's always just some mundane things, and then some like holy crap exploding things, and then not. You get the idea. And then, you know, they just keep going on like that. So I'll just go from top to bottom. So if you recall back January 8th to 10th, a lot of people were suspecting that there was some kind of Google update going on. A lot of the Mozcast and those SERPcast and those kinds of websites that track the SERP changes said there were some changes going on. And some people even speculated it could be Penguin. Well, John Mueller was asked on January 13th in a Hangout. He was asked specifically it was Penguin, and he said no. Point blank, he said no, it was not Penguin. And I think John Mueller is probably not lying, because if it was, he'd say it was Penguin, and they usually announce when Penguin is released because it's such an infrequent release. But he did mention some other stuff about Penguin that was interesting that I'll mention in a little bit. So a lot of people were complaining that they thought it was Penguin because a lot of Penguin sites saw a boost, but also one Panda site saw a boost as well. And also people were, all the way from January 8th, all the way through the 10th to the 15th, they were complaining about ups and downs and releases and updates. And so quite frankly, that is close to a 10-day rollout. And so we know Panda rolls out in a 10-day rollout, and Google didn't make any announcements. And so, and one Panda site did, in fact, a couple Panda sites got a boost on those dates that were not hit by Penguin and never were and had nothing to do with Penguin. And so I proclaim it probably Panda. And do not be surprised if there's sites that are hit by both Panda and Penguin. In fact, in my experience, that happens all the time. Speaking of which, I don't know if you've been watching my videos lately, but I still have the Penguin, and it's for penguins. People are screwing this up when they email me. They think it's a Panda fix. I do have a Panda fix. It's called Making a Better Website, and I can most definitely help you do that. But I have a specific Penguin fix as well. Penguin is the linking and over-optimization keyword algorithm. I have a fix that can conceivably fix it within 2 to 3 days. I have already helped a number of people. It has already worked for a number of people. And it is very interesting for me to see who it is working for and who it is not. Again, going back to that Penguin and Panda problem. If you've got both algorithms, it's less likely to work for you, and also if you have some other kind of quality issues. But that being said, as it turns out, I do still have this Penguin fix. It still works. It does work for sites. There's some work you need to do, though, to clean the stuff up, especially if you've also been hit by Panda. And so I'm willing to help people get this fixed up. It does fix Penguin within 2 to 3 days. Again, it does fix Penguin within 2 to 3 days, sometimes even faster. This is not a joke. I'm not lying. And it has nothing to do with 301s. It has nothing to do with deleting pages. It has nothing to do with detoxing linkings or anything of that nebulous nature. So it does work, and it's a little bit of a trick, but it can work for you. So if you want more information about that, by all means, please contact me. I'd be happy to consult for you and try and get this this hack working for you. Just so before I forget, my contact information is joshbachynski@gmail.com, or you can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski, or you can watch all these other videos I've been talking about, these kinds of interesting hacks and tricks, and all other kinds of SEO leaks on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/jbachins. That's JBACHYNS. So, I do still have the Penguin fix for those people who have been affected by it, and you do need to do some work to get it to work, but it does work. Okay, the next thing that was mentioned by Mr. Mueller, again on the 13th still, is that if you want to delete the link juice that's coming to your site, So ignoring that Penguin hack I was talking about and going back to the traditional way of fixing Penguin, which usually is deleting the links that are pointing to your site from the source where the link is pointing to your site, or on your site, deleting the page it points to. So you get rid of either the source or the target by making the target 404 or 410. Serve an HTTP status header of 404 or 410. If you don't know what that is, your server person does. They'll know exactly what that means. And that's another way of getting the bad link juice from pointing at you. So John Mueller just mentioned that again. So I just wanted to mention it again. I know I've mentioned it a bunch of times before, but I thought I'd mention it again. Also, when you're trying to delete those bad links that are back on the source link back here, when it's on a bad site, you're trying to delete them. The problem is that, of course, Google has a very slow crawl rate for what it considers to be a low quality or a spammy site. They may not go back to this site for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whether or not you put that link in the disavow file or whether or not you've deleted it from here or deleted from where it points to here. Sorry, I'm getting confused. It's backwards when I look at it in my monitor. So what can you do? Well, people asked John Mueller, and John Mueller didn't have an answer. He's like, oh, whatever, blah, 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 because there's nothing really you can do. And he doesn't want to tell people how to manipulate their crawl schedule. Obviously, Google has a lot of software controlling their crawl schedule, based on a fairly complex algorithm of newness, importance, page rank, things like that, trust, things like that. So I have one trick, and I've mentioned it before. So if you're trying to get Google to make sure that they know for the manual action notice, or for Penguin, or for any of these linking algorithms like that, that you've gone and deleted links out there on the web that were pointing to you. You've deleted them, they're gone. But Google isn't going back to crawl. Well, here's an easy way to get them to do it. If you don't care if that page ranks anymore, put that URL in the web spam form. Yes, take the URL and put it in Google's web spam form. You remember they got a form for everything. Just search Google web spam form, F-O-R-M, and submit it as a piece of web spam. And my tests show, and I've tested this multiple times, that they will crawl that page within a week. Within 7 days, they will crawl that page. Now, they might take some action based on what they find. They might take the page down. They might do whatever. But at least they'll crawl it and process all the linking signals on it and reprocess everything about it. And so if you've deleted yet your link from that page, then you can get them to recrawl that sooner rather than later and figure out that link is gone. So that's a good tip to keep in mind. There's using the system against them for your own uses, your own needs. Okay, now someone else asked a very interesting question, and now the answer is different. The answer I'm about to tell you is different than what I've been told in the past, so what I've said in the past, and what they've been saying consistently for the last 2 years. The question was about the explosion of bad links. Is that a problem for negative SEO? So here's the scenario. Some guy went and asked John Mueller because he thought this was happening, or maybe he was just pretending and he was doing it and wanted to see what John Mueller was saying. He said that he had a site, and then some competitor was doing negative SEO and pointing thousands and thousands, like spikes of thousands and thousands of bad backlinks at him within a couple days. And they're all getting spidered within a couple days because their new links are calling the spider over. He said, is that a problem for linking? Is that a problem for negative SEO? Now, what I thought John Mueller was going to say was no. No. We know, because this is what he has said in the past, at least a dozen times. I'm not making, at least a dozen times I've heard him say this before. He said it's not a problem because we know that someone can do a marketing campaign and it can go viral and you can get thousands of links all at one time, so that's perfectly natural, so it's not a problem. That's not what he said this time. So there's been a change to their algorithms, or there's been a change to the rhetoric that he's allowed to say. This time he said maybe. That's different. He didn't say it's not a problem. This time he said maybe it's a problem. I'm like, okay, how maybe is this a problem? And he said, and I quote, "We have many algorithms to see how the web evolves." Quote unquote. This means, in other words, we have many algorithms to watch what links are made and when. And he said, we do a lot of things with fast changes on the web, quote unquote, and we quote do it algorithmically. But then he said that we would likely ignore those links. He said we would likely ignore those links. So if they see a link spike, they're likely to ignore those links, to automatically no-follow them, to detrust them, right? Because they do that all the time. They have a copious amount of algorithms, an ever-increasing amount of algorithms to determine whether or not they're going to trust those links or not, which Matt Cutts also mentioned recently, which I'm going to get to in a second, which is also very interesting. So he said, basically he broke down two scenarios. This is January 13th. You can go and watch this hangout for yourself if you want to get the source. He said there's two scenarios. One, there's news links. So some kind of newsworthy event happens. All the newspapers and news sites and news blogs are making links, and social media are making links to this one article. You know, if something newsworthy happens, like, I don't know, Tiger Woods grows a third arm. Someone puts it on the New York Times, and then everybody links to it. And he said, at the same time, they've usually noticed, he went so far to say, that a lot of people will also do searches about it as well. And so he kind of hinted at that would be one way that a new bunch of links would not be a problem. That would be perfectly natural. That's perfectly fine. In fact, if you can get that happening to your site, great. If you can do some kind of newsworthy event, or even some kind of newsworthy hoax, like we have pictures of Tom Cruise growing a third arm out of his face. I don't know if that would be newsworthy or not. You know, who knows what grows out of his face? His face looks so plastic to me. Who can tell these days? I apologize, Mr. Cruz, if you happen to watch my SEO rants. On the off chance you're watching this. But your face looks weird. So you'll get a bunch of links and, you know, and a bunch of social stuff, and that's good, and trending traffic, and those are all good positive ranking signals. And you won't have a problem because they can tell it's a new news event. Where it will be a problem, however, is, or could be a problem, is the second scenario that he mentioned, which is new. He's never mentioned this before. Well, he kind of has mentioned it before, but he always said that explosion of links is not a problem at all. Forget about it. This time he said maybe it might be a problem, and this is the way that it might be a problem. It might be a problem if they are quote-unquote junky links. Junky, J-U-N-K-Y, junky links, or spam links, or links from new blogs or brand new blogs or spammy blogs that have articles on plumbing and lawyers and herbal Viagra and this and everything and all those exact match query links pointing out. That's to say blogs that are spammy and just made there for linking that they're probably already ignoring anyway. So if you get like 10,000 links made on those kinds of blogs, on those kinds of topics, they are liable, he said, to automatically, through the algorithm, ignore those kinds of links. And in fact, they might even start hurting you, right? They have more linking algorithms than just Penguin that do damage to a site. It might bubble it up for the manual team to take a look if it's borderline, or they might just say, no, these are all junky links, and we're going to automatically, algorithmically no-follow them. So he said for negative SEO, this can possibly be a problem. He said the word, quote, maybe, that it could be a problem. So that means for people who are trying to do black hat, that could be a problem for us too, right? So, so this is what I would say. If you're going to make a bunch of 10,000 links at once, previously it was not a problem, but now John Mueller is saying it is. So either something changed or he's released more information. Either way, if you're going to make 5,000 links at once in one nuke run or whatever run you're doing, X room or whatever, of course you should be doing this anyway, always. For any linking you're doing, you have to make the links look donated. You have to make them look like a complete noob who knows nothing about SEO made them. So instead of anything even vaguely useful for SEO purposes, like for my Red Apples example, buy Red Apples, redapples.com, all that anchor text is right out. That is completely and utterly too risky. Best kind of link for redapples.com would be great site about fruit, which is kind of vague, generally topic related, but not exact match in any, or even partial match. It doesn't have red or apples anywhere in it. Or just, these guys are great. These guys would be the link. Or this is a great site. Great site would be the link. About fruit. That would be the sentence. This is a great site about fruit. Great site would be the anchor text. So it's got to be completely non-matched like that. Otherwise, you're going to be tripping all kind of red flags, and you increase the risk exponentially at that point that they're going to catch you. And it's going to be on a page that doesn't have any other links like that. All the links on that page are non-match, completely donated looking by a noob. And the entire site has to look like that, where every article, hopefully on similar topics, so not on multiple topics, all look like they're made by SEO noobs who don't know anything about linking from 2008, and all have said, this is great, or this, click here, that kind of a thing. Although I try to avoid click here as well because that's against the W3C it's actually against the W3C guidelines, which who knows, Google might pay attention to, they might not. But it's going to be completely generic text, not even the brand, not the URL, definitely not exact match queries, definitely not search phrases. No search phrase anchor text on that page for you to your site, on that page to any site, or on that site to any other site. And it's going to be an aged blog, and it's got to not have a standard WordPress template, and it's got to look like it's been around for years, and it's got to look like a legitimate blog where people are actually writing about legitimate, it's almost like a quasi-news source, right? Like a legitimate blog. That is the kind of thing, if you got a bunch of links like that, all of a sudden, they might not pay attention to that, and consequently, whether you do it in one spring or not, which is what I'm talking about at the moment, doing that at all is how I'm doing linking these days. Again, because of something that Matt Cutts recently said that I knew was coming, which is why I've been doing it, forever anyway, for at least a year. But I'll get to in a second. And the last thing is that, well, it might not hurt to pay a bunch of people on Fiverr or get a bunch of MTurk people or wherever doing searches on the topic to tell Google that, oh, this is a trending news topic as well. A bunch of posts on social might not hurt. Go to Fiverr and buy 1,000 whatever URL mentions on Twitter or something like that, and then get a bunch of people searching it. If you have to make 5,000 or 10,000 links at once, that would be apparently what they're using to determine if it looks spammy or not, or if it's some kind of trending topic, some kind of new newsworthy thing. Okay. Even more interesting stuff. Okay, so continuing on. Also, John Mueller was asked about HTTPS. HTTPS, the secure socket layer for HTTP, and you probably already know what this is. And most login sites are using HTTPS. And he was asked, is there a ranking? Will it become a ranking factor in the future? And John Mueller hinted at yes. Another huge thing. John Mueller hinted yes, that, and I quote, over time people will expect it, end quote. And quote again, it just makes sense to do. The sooner you get on, oh sorry, I wrote it down weird, but the quote is, it just makes sense to do. The sooner you get it on your site, you will have a competitive advantage, end quote. So he didn't say it is a ranking factor now, and didn't say even it would be in the future, but he said it would make sense if it was, and people are just going to expect it. And he said numerous times in previous Hangouts, in previous conversations with him, that if users expect it, it at some point becomes a ranking factor, usually a negative one, meaning if you're not fast enough, you get a demotion. If you're not got HTTPS, you got a demotion. If you don't have the proper structured URL set up and confusing them, you get a demotion, not usually a boost. So I suspect that if you don't have HTTPS ready sometime in the near future, you could be having Google ranking issues. Okay, here's the next bombshell. And you thought some of these were interesting. Well, just wait. It gets better. I've got some much better ones coming. The next one. John Mueller was asked, will Google ever stop using links as a ranking factor? So which I thought, of course, John Mueller would give the standard response that both he and Matt Cutts have been giving for the last 2 years. They've been asked that numerous times in the last 2 years. They've always said they would. Matt Cutts said, I would not write the epitaph for links just yet. He said that at SMX Advanced, June 2012, I was sitting 20 feet from him when he said it. That's not what John Mueller said this time. John Mueller said, I don't know. Maybe we will. Boom! There goes my brain. Poof. He's directly asked if they would ever stop using links as a ranking factor, and he said, I don't know, maybe we will. That was his answer. And he said, and I quote, we use many signals, end quote, to imply that, yeah, we don't necessarily need links anymore. We're using tons of different signals all over the place. And I quote, links aren't necessarily the most important thing on the web, end quote. And that it, quote, might happen, quote. I repeat, this is a direct quote from John Mueller when asked if they will ever stop using links as a signal. And remember, I predicted this last year, that links would go down in importance and social signals are going to go up in importance and ranking, right? Well, here's some evidence directly stating this. This is the first piece of evidence. I even have another piece of evidence for you coming up. John Mueller said, and I quote, we use many signals. Links aren't necessarily the most important thing on the web, and it might happen, end quote. So, there you go, boys and girls. For all of you who are hurting because of negative SEO that people are doing to you, because as I just showed, if they do a ramp of like 5,000 or 10,000 links, that are all spammy or crappy, they can start hurting you if you've already partially over-optimized on what they've hit you on, because it just looks like you're kind of on the precipice, and they just, those extra links are just going to make you fall off. Put you over some threshold. It looks like that you're really over-optimizing and over-spamming on those links. And for these reasons, and I think for others, because they're getting better signals, and because Google Plus is getting bigger, and social is getting bigger and easier for them to read and get in the back door and proliferate on, that they're going to start using social signals more and links less. And who told you first? Yes, it was me. Okay. So that happened, and then I'm not even done yet. Okay, so the John Mueller was asked, okay, well, what about no-follow links? Are you guys using those? Does PageRank spill over those? And he says, no, PageRank is not split. It says PageRank does not flow through no-follow links, but it is split through no-follow links. So what does that mean? Okay, so let's say you have 50 links on a page. 10 of them are do follow, 40 of them are no follow. Those 50 links are splitting the page rank of that page. So let's say that page rank, let's say for example, that page is a page rank of 4, and it has 1 link on it. It's sending maximum link juice, like 3.5 link juice out of it. But if it has 40 links, it's sending like 0.1 link juice out of each link. Each link on that page is worth less. And no-follow links are included into that calculation as far as John Mueller understood it. So that's a problem. So if you have 1 link on this really high page rank page, and there's 30 other no-follow links on it, ask them to remove the 30 no-follow links, or make them JavaScript links, or some kind of link that Google can't read or can't process, because they are splitting off all of your page rank. Even though the no-follows don't flow page rank, they still split it off and negate it, so to speak. So that was directly from John Mueller, and some people, I know it's a little bit technical for some people, but a lot of people are going to find that very interesting who are really into linking. And also, he did mention that PageRank does not flow, nofollow does not flow PageRank, but it will split it on the page. So you definitely want to get rid of those, or not linking on pages like that. He also mentioned, again, as he's mentioned before, that they like new sites, they like modern design. He hinted at the fact that they may even have an algorithm to that effect that looks for modern design. Okay, and so here's the last bombshell that I'll probably drop for this Hangout, because people are complaining because they're too long. Well, if my Hangouts are too long, just listen to half of it, and then listen to the next half the next day. Sorry, sounds, that's a I live on that side of the tracks kind of solution, but I used to live on those side of the tracks, so. But to placate these people with too much to do, and I can fully attest to having too much to do, I will keep it short, and this will be the last thing, but this is a huge one as well. This is an enormous one as well. John Mueller was asked about Panda, and he said, how many bad pages on a site do you need to get the site-wide Panda hit? So this is about 53 minutes or so into his Hangout on January, what did I say, the 13th. One guy said, all I have is, so right at the end of the Hangout, pretty much, the last bombshell was dropped, pretty much. He said, oh, I've got a really good site, but maybe I got out of 100 pages, maybe 20 or 30 of them are not so good. They got a really high bounce rate. I suspect that means people aren't enjoying them and aren't finding what they're looking for and going back to Google and clicking another result. Is this a problem for Panda? Just 20 or 30 pages out of, 100. And John Mueller said, yes. Only 20 to 30% bad pages is enough for you to get a moderate Panda hit. Quote unquote, a moderate Panda hit is what John Mueller mentioned. Not the waterfall effect, boom, but the kind of Panda effect where you're doing this and it kind of just goes down like this over time. It just gets down, 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 down until finally Penguin hits you or something like that. Or the final Panda coup de grace hits you, right? So yes, I'm sorry. I think it's incredibly mean. I think it's incredibly stupid. And John Mueller has pretty much mentioned the same. That he thinks it's awfully draconic. And he's mentioned a lot about Panda because he knows it hurts a lot of sites. But only 20 to 30% bad pages on a site are enough to get the entire site hit by Panda. And the entire rankings of the site hit. And your traffic will slowly kind of go down like that. Again, not the effect like boom, like this. And it goes like that. Just the trickle down effect. But that kills sites just the same, whether or not it takes 4 or 5 months to kill all your traffic, or all your traffic is killed in a day. It doesn't really matter at that point. Although it is nice because it should give you a warning if you're dancing in the SERPs, you're dancing up and down, and your traffic is slowly going down over time. That should tell you of a Panda problem, amongst other possible problems. It should tell you to contact a good SEO who knows how to diagnose these things and fix these things for you. And it does tell you that there are Panda problems. And it can be from as few pages as just 20 or 30% on your site. So he said if you have any user-generated content, any spammy content, any duplicated content, any garbage text, if you have pages that don't have images on them, that are not being interesting, that people are bouncing from, if you're not answering, if you're not terminating the search, if you are not answering the question or providing the product or service above 500 pixels within 2 seconds, for whatever those searchers want, and that's making them get annoyed, and there's too many ads, or it's too convoluted, or the user interface sucks, or your design is too old, and they don't like it, they don't trust it, and that means they're going to bounce back to Google and click another result, then you have Panda problems, and it only has to be on like 2 pages out of 10. That's what it means. It only has to be on like 2 pages out of 10 or 20 pages out of 100. That few. In my wildest dreams, I never thought it'd be that few. I always guessed it would probably be around 50%, right? No, like that would be completely unfair to penalize an entire site, to demote an entire site, all 100 pages, because 20 pages or 30 pages suck. I don't know why they just don't make Panda page-based. Why don't they make it page-based? But I guess it'd be too much processing for them to do, to process every page and keep it and remember it, track it on the page level as opposed to the site level. That does make it slightly easier for them. I don't know why they did it. They don't do it that way, but they don't. So, and I've suggested numerous times they do, and sadly, for some reason, they don't listen to me. I don't know why. So, anyway, so that's the last one I'll mention for today. So that's crazy. A Panda can hit a site with only 20 to 30% bad, garbage, spammy, duplicated pages that people are bouncing from. And again, the bounce rate is not the issue. They don't care if you have a 90% bounce rate as long as everybody was satisfied who went there. If you have a lottery site or a weather site where people go there, check the numbers, and leave, as long as they're satisfied, you're perfectly fine. That bounce rate's fine. The problem is when you know they need information about how to fix their carburetor, and everyone's going there and they're only staying there for 7 seconds. And they're bouncing back to Google and they're clicking some of the result because you have too many ads, or it loads too slow, or they have to scroll too far, or it's too complicated, or they don't like your answer, or it doesn't have any pictures. They want pictures, how to fix the carburetors, right? You don't make it nice and easy for them. You got to check this stuff. Google is directly tracking this stuff now these days, and you have to make a good site. You have to make a site that answers their question. And if only 2 out of your 10 pages suck, Panda can still hit you. So I've been warning people for quite some time, and I got some more evidence now that this sucks. Okay, so that's as much time as I can rant for today, otherwise people get upset. I do have a lot more interesting information that came out. I have another piece of proof that Google is not going to be using links anymore, or as much or half as much. They're going to phase links out as a ranking signal, and they're going to phase something else in. I definitely think it's going to be social and usage. They've already been using that quite a bit, and now that so many more people are on Google+, I suspect it's going to be more of a signal. But you'll have to wait until next week, boys and girls, to hear my rant, and the more interesting information and leaks I have on that, I have quite a few more that's happened in January, and January isn't even done yet. Okay, so again, if you need help fixing Penguin or Panda, or any SEO questions for that matter, please do not hesitate to contact me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski, and you can watch these videos and other great SEO videos that give you free SEO information, how to fix stuff, and what to do at youtube.com/jbachins. And also, just a note, again, because social is getting so important, because I'm sure you're tired of listening to me yammer on, Melissa, my SEO consultant, my social consultant, she's a whiz when it comes to social, both how to get social signals for SEO, and also how to get traffic from social, how to build up an actual tribe on social, and how to get traffic from social, both from organic SEO signals and from social itself. She's done some really good things for some customers, and she's going to start coming on here and sharing her tips. And she's much more lovely and quite frankly, prettier and nicer to look at than I am. So she might come on here and share some of her knowledge as well. So until next time, good luck in the SERPs, and if you need any help, just let us know. Bye-bye.